Good morning, children. Okay, we were doing about chapter number 2, that is establishment and development of Indian democracy. Okay, in our previous classes, I'd already explained you about the refugee problem, the transfer of assets. Now, today we will be moving towards to river water dispute. River water dispute. Okay, see, after the independence, we had to face a number of problem. Okay, number one problem was of refugee problem. Okay, just moving of huge amount of population from one country to another country, either from India to Pakistan or from Pakistan to India. After that, then the asset has to be transferred. Now today we are moving towards to the most important issue which arose between India and Pakistan after the independence. That was equitable sharing of the waters of river Indus and its tributaries. Now, equally sharing of waters, okay? The waters should be shared equally of river Indus and tributaries, especially for irrigation, okay? Especially for irrigation purposes. That became a very, very important issue between India and Pakistan after the attainment of the independence. Now, both the countries, okay, both the countries, India as well as Pakistan, they wanted to be self-sufficient, okay? They wanted to be self-sufficient in agriculture. To be self-sufficient in agriculture, you are in need of plenty amount of water. So who will be using what amount of water from river Indus? Because both the country wanted to be self-sufficient in agriculture. Now, after the partition, okay, when India and Pakistan were being divided, India got only 28 million acre of lands irrigated of Indus and its tributaries. See, out of 28 million acre of land, see, out of 28 million acres of land, I'm talking about the irrigated land, eh? Okay, I'm talking about irrigated land out here. Okay, total irrigated land was 28 million acres. Out of this 28, India got only 5 million acres of land. Very less. Okay. Now, let's see what was the main problem. The main problem was that the waters of the western rivers, okay, the waters of the western rivers, they all went and entered into the sea. When I say western rivers, especially Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum, the waters of this Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum, they flew and directly entered into the sea. So whatever the canals were there in Pakistan, okay, the Pakistani canals, they had to completely depend upon the eastern rivers, which were flowing East Punjab for their supplies of water. Are you getting me? Okay, because west flowing rivers, namely Indus, Chenab, and Jhelum, they directly went into the sea. So Pakistani canals, whatever the canals were there in the Pakistan, they completely had to depend only on the eastern rivers which were flowing through East Punjab. Okay, when I say eastern rivers, especially Ravi, Beej, and Satluj. Okay, so they had to depend upon the water supplies on the tributaries like Ravi, Beej, and Satluj. In the other hand side, even India also wanted, try to understand. In one hand side, Pakistan is completely dependent upon the eastern rivers. In the other hand side, India also wanted to utilize the water of these eastern rivers only. India also wanted to utilize the water from the eastern rivers, Ravi, Beej, and Satluj. And in the other hand side, Pakistan was completely, the Pakistani canals completely dependent upon these eastern rivers. Okay. Now, really, for the agriculture development, to make the self-sufficient in agriculture as well as in the production of food, India also wanted to utilize the water from these eastern rivers. So because of this, what happened? Indus became an important issue between these two newborn states. It became a very important issue for India as well as Pakistan. Now, what happened? Sometimes, okay, natural calamities, like for example, sometimes natural calamities like flood and drought may occur in Pakistan. India was blamed for that. India was held responsible for that. Okay, in Pakistan, whenever the drought occurs, okay, in Pakistan, whenever the flood occurs, okay, Pakistan used to blame India for that. But finally, the dispute, the water dispute between India and Pakistan was completely settled through an intervention of Eugene Black, the president of World Bank. Eugene. Eugene Black, who is the president of World Bank. Okay, try to understand, dear children. On his intervention, the water dispute between India and Pakistan was been solved. Let's see what was the scheme given by the what was the scheme which was been given by World Bank. Please note down the points. Okay, the schemes of World Bank. Now, number one, the total water of Indus and its tributaries, whatever the total volume of water is there between India and tributaries, it has to be divided into the ratio of 80:20. Okay, the total volume water, okay, the total volume of water of river Indus and its tributaries will be divided into 80:20 ratios. In the other hand side, India agreed, okay, India will agree to allow the flow of Jhelum, Indus, Chenab all time. All time, the rivers, there will be no blockade of the flow of river Indus, Jhelum and Chenab. India agreed to allow to flow. The irrigated areas of India would continue to receive water from these rivers. See, whichever the irrigated areas are there of India, that irrigated areas of India will continue receive water from these rivers. I mean to say, from the rivers of Indus, Jhelum and Chenab. India was allowed to store 2.85 million acres feet of water for various purposes from the tributaries of this western river, namely Indus, Chenab and Jhelum. See, from this western river, India was able to store a total of 2.85 million acres feet of water. That total amount of water can be stored by India from which river? From the western river, that is Indus, Chenab and Jhelum. The agreement was been made, and agreement was been made for a period of 10 years. So, whatever the agreement was been made between India and Pakistan, that agreement will last for how many years? 10 years. Now, during the time of 10 years, try to understand. During that period of 10 years, Pakistan will start constructing the canals now. During the period of 10 years, Pakistan will start constructing the canals to replace the supplies of he hitherto received from eastern rivers, viz. Ravi, Satluj and Beas. See, whatever amount of water was been received from the eastern rivers like Ravi, Satluj and Beas, till that time, Pakistan will construct the canal. After construction of canal, that supply of water will be received. In the other hand side, India agreed to make a fixed contribution of rupees 83.3 crores for the construction work of those canals by Pakistan. Say, try to understand. India will contribute of rupees 83.3 crores. For what purpose? For construction work of those canals in Pakistan. Remember, the points should be noted out here, my dear children. The canals have been constructed in Pakistan, and here India had to contribute something amount of 83.3 crores. Try to understand. India agreed. Okay, India said, okay, we will contribute this amount, 83.3 crores, for the construction work of those canals by Pakistan. But remember, India will not give this amount directly to Pakistan. India will pay this amount in 10 equal installments to the World Bank. Okay, so directly the amount will not be handed over to Pakistan. India will pay 83.3 crores of amount of money in 10 equal installments to the World Bank. Not only India, there were different other foreign countries who agreed to pay generously for the Indus Basin Development Fund. Those countries were Austria, Canada, Germany, Britain, New Zealand and America. These all countries, they were ready to pay certain amount of money to the Indus Basin Development Fund. So finally, what amount would be Pakistan receiving to construct the Indus Basin? Okay, Pakistan would receive rupees 333.3 crores. This is a huge amount of money, try to understand. For construction of irrigation reservoirs and link canals. Okay, to construct the irrigation reservoirs. Reservoirs, you know very well. It's something like a big dam where we store water, where we'll reserve water, okay? And from there, the irrigation, the supply of water will be made to the different agricultural field. And the link canals, for that one, Pakistan would be receiving something around 333.3 crores. Mind it, this is a very huge amount of money. Out of this 333.3 crores, India would contribute 83.3 crores to Pakistan. Try to understand. So finally, a permanent Indus Commission would be formed. So finally, after they had an agreement, they were ready to form one commission, which is known as Indus Commission. Now let's see what is the task of this commission. The commission would be responsible for implementing the terms of the treaty. Whatever the terms and conditions are there written in this agreement, in this treaty, it is the responsible of that commission to implement it, to put something into effect. Implement means to put something into effect. So it is the responsible of that commission, Indus Commission, to implement the terms of the treaty. If anyhow some certain type of dispute arises between these two newly born states, then if it cannot be resolved by negotiation means just have a sit and have a discuss. Any sort of disputes arise between you can settle by the talk, okay, having a discussion. That is what you call negotiation. If the dispute cannot be solved by negotiation, then the dispute will be completely referred to a neutral expert or to the court of arbitration for the final decision. So finally, it will be sent to the court of arbitration, and the court of arbitration will finally give its decision. Is that clear? Okay. But the Indian public opinion was not happy at all. Agreement was been made according to the scheme of the World Bank, but the people of India was not at all happy. Do you know why? Do you know why Indian were not happy with the scheme? Because first and the foremost thing is that India got very small share of river waters. See, whatever the river water utilization of the river water from Indus and its tributaries, India got very, very small share. Okay, which was not sufficient for the irrigated agriculture land in India, the amount of water which was been given to India. On top of that, try to understand, on top of that, India had to pay a huge amount of money to Pakistan for the construction of link canals. The link canals is being constructed in Pakistan, and it was India who had to pay this huge amount of money, something around 83.3 crores of rupees. Try to understand. So that was the reason why the public opinion was not at all happy. Is it clear? The link canals are being constructed in Pakistan. India had to contribute certain amount of money. So on top of that, in the other hand side, India was getting very, very small share of water. Try to understand. So obviously, the Indian would not be satisfied in that. So that was the most important problem. Why the Indian public opinion was not at all happy with this scheme. Okay, but nevertheless, what happened? Finally, Jawaharlal Nehru, who was the first Prime Minister of India, he went to Karachi on 9th September 1960. Try to understand, my dear children. Finally, okay, the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru went to Karachi, which is in Pakistan, you know very well, Karachi, and finally signed the Indus Water Treaty on 19th September 1960. So finally, the treaty was been signed by our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru. He went to Karachi, signed the treaty, which is known as Indus Water Treaty on 19th September 1960. Dear children, please remember, okay, on which date or when the Indus Treaty was been signed by Jawaharlal Nehru. It was on 19th of September 1960. And this 19th September, Jawaharlal Nehru declared as a memorable day. a day which we cannot be forgotten for throughout in our life. So after signing the treaty, after signing the treaty, the Indus Water Treaty on 19th of September 1960, Jawaharlal Nehru declared this day as the memorable day. 19th September was been declared as memorable day. So finally, India was able to settle water problem with her new neighbor Pakistan. So finally, after signing of this treaty, after the signing of this treaty, finally the water dispute between the two countries were being completely settled down. So dear children, please remember one thing: we could only settle the water dispute through the intervention of Eugene Black, who was the president of World Bank. So this was how the problem between India and Pakistan, especially, which was an important issue, that was completely solved out. Okay, so from this chapter, we have completed a river water dispute. Now let us move towards to another chapter, that is 2.2. Okay, 2.2, I'll be continuing out here only. Okay, for just 1 or 2 paragraphs I'll be doing of this chapter 2.2, that is foundation of Indian democracy. Very important chapter, dear children. Okay, foundation of Indian democracy. After independence in 1947, the people of India got the power to administer the affairs of their country. See, we got independent, our country got freedom in the year 1947. Finally, now the power came in the hand of the Indian people, how to run the country. Now, India will be ruled by Indian itself only now. Okay, but our country faced a number of problems. Say, first and the foremost problem, we need efficient leadership now. To run the good administration, the administrator should be good. The administrator should be efficient. This was the first important problem that was being faced by the country. A number of problems were there. Okay, we didn't have efficient leadership. Now we wanted an efficient leadership, an able leadership, who is very much intellectual, okay, who is being capable of everything, who can really administer the country, and who can specially take the country in the right path and develop the country in every field. So that type of leadership was in need. The other important problem, see, what this was number one problem. Other important problem was framing of democratic constitution. Very important. Second problem, how to frame the democratic constitution. Now, whenever you are writing the constitution, whenever you are adopting the constitution, you have to write in a such a way, you have to frame in a such a way, as you know, where India is a very diverse country. Okay, different type of people are living in India, different religions are being worshipped, different languages are spoken out here, different categories of people are living. So you have to cover everyone. Okay, you have to cover everyone, rich, poor, everyone has to be covered, and the constitution has to be framed. So that's why I'm telling democratic constitution. For the people, by the people, of the people, democracy, you know very well. So that type of constitution should be there. Is it clear? That was another problem. Next problem was adult suffrage. What age should be allowed for voting? Voting is it clear? Before it was 21, you know very well, and later on it was, according to some amendment, later on it was been reduced to 18, you know very well. Paila 21. Okay. So what the age, voting age should be there. Next problem, establishment of secular country. Establishment of secular country. How to establish a secular country? See, because you know very well in India, okay, different religions survive. Okay, are you understanding? Huh? Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Chinese, everyone is there. Okay, so how to establish a secular country? So there will not be any distinguish between any sort of religion in India. Next, development in agriculture, very important. Okay, very important. Agriculture and education. This has to be noted down. This all has to be looked upon. Okay, agriculture should be developed, education should be developed, and the public administration and others. Plenty and plenty of problems came up in front of India. India faced a lots and lots of problems. But whoever were the leading the country during that era, during that period, the leaders of that time, first and the foremost thing, they took up the problem of framing the constitution. So this problem was taken up by the leaders to frame the constitution. This problem was been taken up by the leaders. Okay, now yes, first and the foremost thing is that we have to frame the constitution. Then only, okay, we can take the country in a very right path. Okay, now to form the constitution, to frame the constitution, various committees were been formed. Different committees were been formed. We need, see, only one person cannot frame the constitution. And I've told you before, only you know very well, India's constitution is the very lengthiest constitution. It is the lengthiest written constitution in the world. Are you understanding? We have taken the ideas, the views, the points from the constitution of other countries also. Okay, and as you know very well, it's India to complete for framing of the Indian constitution. Nearly it took about 2 years, 11 months and 17 days, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, or let's say 3 years. So 3 years, it's a very long period of time. Is that clear? So a special committee, out of that various committee, a special committee was given a responsibility to make out the plan of the constitution. Special committee was been appointed, and it was the responsible of the special committee to check out the plan, or to make out the plan how to frame the constitution. Dr. BR Ambedkar, Bhim Rao Ambedkar, we call him. Dr. BR Ambedkar was appointed the head of this committee, the chairman of this committee, the special committee who was responsible for checking out the plan of the constitution. BR Ambedkar was appointed as the chairman of this committee. After a lot of toil and turmoil, a lot of confusion, a lot of discussions, okay, a lot of discussion was being made. Finally, Dr. BR Ambedkar was able to prepare the manuscript of the constitution, the draft of the constitution. Finally, BR Ambedkar drafted the constitution. After drafting the constitution, my dear children, try to understand. After drafting the constitution, immediately they did not adopted that constitution. Try to understand. Let's see what he did. After drafting that constitution, that manuscript, okay, the manuscript of the constitution was first published and distributed to the people to know the views of the people. See, that is the reason why I'm talking about the democratic constitution. Here comes the democratic constitution. Okay, only whoever the members of the committees, they sat together, they framed the constitution, they adopted the constitution. It's not that. Okay, got it? They published the manuscript because they wanted to know the views of the people, what the people have to say about that constitution, about that manuscript which has been specially adopted for that Indian constitution. After knowing the views of the people, okay, after knowing the views of the people, something around 2,000 changes were being made. 2,000 amendment was being made. And finally, after knowing the views of the people, try to understand. After knowing the view and the points of the people, more than 2,000 changes was being made in that manuscript of the constitution. Then only the constitution came into force on 26 January 1950. It's not that only the members, they sat together and they framed the constitution and they adopted the constitution. It's not that. So that is the reason why we call democratic constitution, because they wanted to know the views of the people also. Is that clear? Got it? So finally, after knowing the views of the people, more than 2,000 amendment was been made. Thereafter, the constitution came into force on 26 January 1950. Now, according to this constitution, after it was been adopted on 26 January 1950, India now became sovereign democratic republic, sovereign country. Now, India is no more under the control of any foreign powers. Okay, India is being ruled by the Indians itself only. Democratic country. Now, it is the country for the people, by the people, of the people. The constitution, the government, whatever the government will be formed in the country, okay, the government will be made by the people, by giving the vote after the election. Okay, the government has to look after the people. and that government directly belonged to the people. In the other words, we can easily say that the complete powers of India lies in the hand of the people. That is democratic. So finally, India became sovereign, democratic, and republic. That is the reason why we observe 26th January as the Republic Day. Try to understand. 26th January is been adopted as the Republic Day. See, 26th January has a great significance in the Indian history. Try to understand. 26th January. What I want to say a bit about 26th January, my dear children, listen it carefully. 26th January 1930. 26th January, I'm talking about 1930. It was Indian National Congress when we were having a struggle against the British government. Okay, 26th January 1930, Indian National Congress, they hoisted the flag. They hoisted the flag, the tricolor flag. They hoisted the flag and started celebrating 26th January as the Independence Day. Yeah, don't get confused. 26th January 1930. Now, British had to leave India. So, Indian National Congress, they hoisted the flag and they passed a resolution stating that from now onwards, 26th January 1930, we will celebrate Independence Day. 26th January 1931, Independence Day was being celebrated. So, this is the significance. But finally, what happened? All of a sudden, 15th August. British left India in 15th August. So that means 15th August, we have to celebrate 15th August as Independence Day. So what to do about 26th January? Because it has got a great significance in the Indian history. Okay. Finally, British left India in 15th of August. So 15th of August, after that, we started celebrating Independence Day. Okay. Now, what has to be done with this 26th January? So finally, the constitution makers, they thought about it and they said, okay, let us adopt the Indian constitution on this day only, 26th January. Okay, thereafter, 26th January, we started celebrating as Republic Day. So this 26th January has a great significance in Indian history. Okay, my dear children, now I'm going to end up my class. Okay, in our later classes, we will do about the first general election. Thank you very much.